What's the rudest question you've ever received? Had bad acne and stupid questions like why don't you wash your face, bathe every day? Are you self-conscious about your teeth? I freaking am now. Stares intensely at my face. How many times have you broken your nose? The answer is none. Most common question asked by complete strangers, often without introduction. Because of my wheelchair is can you have intercourse? Variations. Does your dong work? Can you get an erection? Are you a virgin? But another classic is how do you pee? For all of these questions, I of course perform a live demonstration. My brother gets that all the time from kids, stuff like why are your legs broken? He just replies cause I didn't eat my vegetables. Horrified children and smiling parents. More cute than rude. I've been asked if the government gives me compensation for being legally a midget. I do not have dwarfism. I am just really short. Technically you might qualify for what they're talking about. One of my aunts does. And same thing. She's just really short. During the early 90s I was sporting quite a plumage of long, rocker hair. And during the winter and spring, ski season, I also grew quite a thick beard. One day I was at a gas station and I noticed two young kids staring at me intently. Their mother was also getting gas, but she was around on the other side of her car. The little boy must have been about 3 or 4 and the little girl was probably about 7 or 8. They were just staring at me. I finally said, "Hi, how are you guys doing?" The little boy turned and whispered something to his sister. She turned to me and said, "He wants to know if you are a boy or a girl?" A bit flummoxed by this forthright assault on my obvious manliness, I stammered, I'm a boy," she said, by way of explanation. He's never seen a boy with long hair before. "Well, some boys have long hair," I replied, a bit defensively. "I know," she said. "I've seen lots of boys with long hair." "Really?" I replied. "Where?" "Oh, places like the dump." And that little kid grew up to be Professor Oak. I worked at a Chinese restaurant as my first job, and you would not believe how often I got questions like, are they terrible to work for? Do they treat you well? Do you get paid on time full amount? Jesus. It made me sick to my stomach. He was the best boss and manager I ever worked for, and those kinds of questions irked me to no end, as if he would be an awful boss based on his ethnicity. The biggest bastards I ever worked for were from right here. I even saw one butthole customer asking him as if he was 12 years old, "Do you live here?" pointing at the floor. He was asking my boss if he lived in his restaurant. My boss replies, "No, I don't live here. I have a house in X." Jesus. Beyond treating me like gold, he used to tell creepy guys right where to go if they were bothering me, something that no other boss at a restaurant did for me. I always got a free meal every shift, plus he had me sit with his family every evening to enjoy a home-cooked meal at the end of each shift as well. Are you sure that acne medicine is working? How does it feel to be cheated on by the friend of a girl I once dated? I didn't even know she was cheating. She might have been doing you a favor. When I announced to the people at my local church that I was engaged, a woman came up and politely asked if my fiancé was overweight too. I don't think there's any way to phrase that question politely. Finally decided to gain weight? Great decision. Why aren't you married yet? Well mom, I'm kind of a loser. I'm white and my ex-wife is black. Our kids are mixed but differ a lot in shades of darkness. My oldest son is almost as dark as her, while my younger daughter could pass for white. We were in the grocery store once and we only had our daughter with us while my son was at preschool. My wife was at one end of the aisle with my daughter in the cart, and I was at the other end grabbing something. A very old lady, maybe in her 70s, came into the aisle on the same side as my wife and daughter, and she had a weird look of concern. I walked back over and the old lady saw that we were together and started smiling in relief. As we walked away she touched my arm and said, "Are you happy with her?" I didn't understand, so I asked her what she meant. She said, "Oh, I just mean is she a good nanny? Would you recommend her services? My daughter needs one." She is using a Latina woman now, but I told her the problem with those people is if she steals something the police won't be able to find her. She probably has no records. Anyway, I think it's absolutely wonderful that you let her come shopping with your child. People gave me such insults for letting our nanny do that 50 years ago, but you know times were different. To this day I still crack up when I remember the look on my ex-wife's face. I never knew eyes could get so wide. The funniest part about it was you couldn't even be mad cause in that lady's mind she was being very progressive. So when is the little one coming? Says every single person you know starting the day after you get married. It gets more intense as time goes on. And in our case my wife had some trouble getting pregnant, which made it all the worse. I wish people better understood how hurtful this question can be when asked to a woman who may not be able to have kids. While working the front desk at a hotel. To note, I'm female. Me. Hello, how can I help you? Guy, is there a male on duty? Me. No, I'm sorry, I'm the only one on duty at the moment. Guy, oh, well I was looking to ask for some verbal directions, but if you're the only one here, do you know how to use Google? They have this thing that's called Maps. He actually spells out the word maps. I can direct you how to use it. Seriously? Has every woman you've ever met been retarded? I was in disbelief. You're Indian, right? What breed of tribe are you? How did you get invited? How can you be Hispanic and Jewish? This was asked to me by a co-worker while I was interning, at age 19. So are you legally a dwarf? No, I'm actually an illegal dwarf. Please don't turn me in. Have you noticed how much weight you gained? My friend's be of a stepmother while she was giving me a haircut. Ironically, I had lost 20 pounds from the last time I saw her. Which is why she said it. You looked great and she felt insecure. One time I walking to Walgreens when a woman approached me and asked if I could spare any change. I had like $50 in my pocket and I was in a good mood, so I decided to give it to her. I put the change in her hand and she stared at it for a few seconds, then looked up at me and says, "Is that it?" I could not believe she asked that. Sure, it wasn't much, but I didn't have to give her anything. I said, "Yeah, that's all I have." She scoffed and walked away. I saw her a few times after that, and after the way she acted, I always turned her away. So does she not put out or just one of those women's lib types? I was calling about a job and I had to go through a manager before I got to the main hiring person. The manager was a nice guy. We talked for a bit, and he told me he could pass me on. Hiring person picks up and we start talking. Sounds a little old school ouchy, but whatever. Then he gets to the personal life. Just so you know, this is a very family oriented place. All of us have families and we consider it a very important thing. Me. That's good to hear. I'm actually engaged. We've been together about 4 years. Oh, that's great. Got any kids? Maybe on the way? Me. Well, no, not yet. I was 21 at the time. Oh, is she not putting out or just one of those women's lib types? I knew then what a blue screen of death felt like because I literally could not process what he'd said for at least a minute. He asked if I was still there and I lost my mind. I'd been job hunting for months, been told all sorts of horrible things, been ignored, treated like crap, and I just had enough of it at that point. I unloaded on him and called the boss. He was also very nice. I told him that I had had an issue with one of his managers. Without saying anything else, I heard on the other end, "Goddamn it, Jeff." Jeff was in fact the hiring manager I talked to. Why have you been hanging around me and my friends' mean grade school memories? My sister once yelled at me to get my own friends because her friends crept into my room to check on me after I'd just gotten out of the hospital, and they'd come to get my sister for school since she'd overslept. Again, I had have my own friends, but she was a plain B face as a teenager. Those same friends of hers still think of me as a little sister and check on me all the time. Are you Chinese or Japanese? I'm neither. Were you uphead when someone found out I was gay? When introducing my first girlfriend to my alcoholic grandmother from Tennessee, seriously the first words out of her mouth, "Yeah, frickin' her, ain't ya? Heck yeah, grandma. Fist bump that crap." Not to me, but My cousin and her then boyfriend were in town for the meet the family routine. My grandmother, are you religious? Do you still go to church? Cousin's boyfriend, I was raised Catholic but I don't really go to church anymore. My grandmother, oh, were you paid by a priest as a child? Everyone at the dinner table. Are you autistic? After trying to overcome my social anxiety. Q. Have you ever hit any of your girlfriends? Me. Number. Why would I do that? She. You know. Because you are brown. Read it in a question form. That was a very awkward first date. Man, if someone said that to me I'd freaking crank them. A guy was chewing tobacco in my car, and he asked if he could just spit on the floor. Granted, my car was pretty messy, but come on dude. Them. Are you Filipino? Me. No, I'm them. Oh, are you just Mexican? That sucks. Boring. Walks away. I'm Colombian. Like Shakira. Wait, you're Catholic, but you're Chinese. Further background. I'm Singaporean. Are you Jewish? Your nose is very Jewish. I'm not Jewish. There have been some pretty awful ones regarding our decision to have an only child. The one that makes me want to react violently is, what will you do if something happens to him? I thought we were past the air and a spare days. Apparently not. You're white, so I don't have to pay you back, right? After I had lent him some money the day before. I was out for dinner with a friend of mine, his dad, and the guy that had fixed his car. The guy who fixed his car asked how we knew each other and my friend answered that we met while studying abroad. Then the dude asked, you studied abroad and that's the one you picked? Thanks bud, you're a real catch yourself. Don't ask vets if how many people they've killed, or if how many of their friends died, especially if you just met them. You'll be amazed at how many people have no problem asking you these questions in line at a fast food restaurant or the speedy checkout at the grocery store. I thought you meant the animal kind of vet at first. That was confusing and I feel like an idiot. When are you going to quit your job to stay home and have kids? Why don't you have a big nose like other Jews? I get this all the time too, which is funny, because my Jewish friends will jump in and say no, she has a pretty big nose, look at it from the side. Thanks, guys. This one beats all those rude ones. My dad died in a horrific accident over spring break, and I had to witness the whole thing. It was a boating accident in Florida. So I get back to school, and this kid, knowing full well what happened, said, hey man, so how was Florida? I didn't retaliate, just asked him if he knew what happened. After he replied yes, I just walked away, never talking to him again. Not to me, but to my mom, whose son was born with apparent disabilities. Oh, you must have smoked during pregnancy, didn't you? I was crashing with my brother and his wife for a mini vacation catch-up visit since he had moved away. While I was there he was still on duty, military, during the day, so I would help his wife around the house with stuff, as she was in the last 1-2 months of pregnancy with my nephew at the time. At one point she needed groceries, so I rode with her to help with any heavy lifting, etc. We went through as normal and got everything she needed, and while we were on the beer liquor aisle, I asked if I could hand her the cash for my beer and just tack it onto their total, since she was paying with a card, to save time. She obliged. I handed her the cash and then put a 30-pack of bud in the cart. We go to checkout. I'm unloading everything onto the conveyor belt and she's waiting to pay. I have no idea what possessed this freaking clerk. This late 20s to early 30s woman decided to go all high and mighty and blurted out while scanning the beer, you know, it's not wise to drink when you're pregnant. Jesus would be awful disappointed. I was about to pipe up that it was mine, but before I could even utter a single word my sister-in-law says, very flatly, it's not for me, it's for my partner, and she isn't pregnant. The look on that cashier's face was priceless. Your sister-in-law is awesome. I'm a freshman in HS and I'm a ridiculously lonely guy. These two girls came up to me a few months back and asked, hey, you're not gonna shoot up a school because you don't fit in, are you? At 18 I took a trip with my family to Puerto Rico. Our first day there, a local that we were talking to put his hand on my little round pot belly and said, you'll be a mother soon. How wonderful. I was just kinda chubby and was wearing an oddly fitting dress. I cried a lot. Did your dad want a boy? I'm a lady. My first name is a very traditional masculine name. I was not named after my father, but rather two other ladies in my family. One named herself paternal great aunt whose given name was Oda. She didn't care for it. And the other was named after her father when he died of Spanish influenza right before she was born. Great grandmother. I go by my middle name, which is infinitely more feminine, if still unisex. My name is a source of pride for my family. It is unique and was carried by two beautiful women before my parents thought that I was special enough to have it, too. To get to the point, I get asked that question every time a stranger finds out my first name, no matter if I am picking up a prescription, getting my driver's license renewed, or getting fingerprinted for work. I hear it at least twice a month. It is none of your business whether my dad wanted a son or was happy with the daughter he got, but thanks for reminding me that I will never live up to his standards because I don't have a dong. Thanks for reminding me that our family name will die because I'm a girl. Yes, he bloody wanted a boy, you dong, but that's not why my name is masculine. You have been visited by the money bird. It'll bring you good fortune, but only if you subscribe in 42 seconds or less. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.